All right, so you can start now.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to start us off by introducing myself and then introduce our speaker. My name is Evan and I'm the Events and Community Outreach Manager at ISHCMC. And we've been doing speaker series for parents talks monthly for this whole school year. And we've covered a range of different topics, and many of you have been returning to these talks and expressing the topics that you're interested in. And we're just really grateful to have you and to have external speakers come in and talk about these issues that, are part of parenting, part of raising children inside and outside of the classroom. So thank you for being interested in this program. We'll continue it on next school year and get some more topics as well. So part of what we do is we bring a topic that you've expressed interest in. We bring an outside, hi Ms. Chow, and then we bring an outside set of people from the community who can also provide an interesting perspective. And then we give an ISHCMC context usually. So what it means at our school. And for the purpose of this talk, we'll be doing less ISHCMC context because we actually did that in the talk last month that Haley ran about understanding basic terminology for gender and sexuality. So this one, we will really focus on our external speakers and get to know them and their experience as parents within this topic, which should be quite interesting. So that's me and that's ISHCMC, and I want to introduce Haley, who is the founder and program director of the Rainbow Workshop, an organization that offers a safe educational space for gender and sexuality studies here in Vietnam, which is not the most common thing. So Haley is doing a lot of interesting work, especially working and trying to support parents who often feel very in the dark about things that the newer generation are talking about. Haley has extensive working experience in the education and gender field and has worked with parents of diverse gender communities in the past 3 years, doing things like SOGI workshops, which stand for sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, and helping everyone on their journey of self-awareness and expression, because everyone has a sexual gender identity and expression. So I'll give it over to Haley.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm very glad to see you all again here. So as Evan have already introduced about the Rainbow Workshop, I believe that you already know a bit about my organizations and my work. So I'm going to give a brief introductions about our amazing speaker today. First of all, we have Miss Loan Nguyễn. Coming to the session. She's from New York City and she's currently a parent outreach and also training coordinator for Queens Community House Generation Q in New York. And we have Miss Kim Châu right here. She's a proud mom of PFLAG community in Saigon, and PFLAG stand for Parents and Friends of Gay and Lesbians in Vietnam. And she's here to help coordinating the talk for Vietnamese parents. So if any parents at the end have interest in talking to her in private, we are happy to do so in the Q&A sessions, okay? And next, I'm going to invite Ms. Loan Nguyễn to share the screen, and she's going to give you a very interesting presentations about allyship. And hopefully that you will gain some knowledge of allyship after this presentations. And please ask any questions if you have. We really hope that parents can during the discussions of the topic of allyship. Okay, Ms. Loan, can you please share the screen?
Let me see if I can, and if not, I'm gonna ask you to help. Let's see, can you see? We need permission to share your screen. Go to security. Are you able to see it yet?
Yes, perfect.
let me just take the first slide. How do I... Would you like to do the sharing for me? And then I will speak and just invite you to do the moving.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, good. So yeah, so while Hai Lee is switching over to be my tech support, I just want to do a quick introduction of my name, that I live here in New York City. Moved here since 2017, and prior to that was in California with a stint of 1 year in Shenzhen, teaching at an international school before I came back here. So my previous background was a classroom teacher for about 15 years. That was my second career. My first career was in corporate America, human resource management. And now that I'm in New York City, I've switched over to my third career, which is nonprofit organization, working to really support parents and families with children who are in the LGBTQ community. So moving to the next slides will give you a little bit of a understanding of the work that I do. First picture is in 2000. Actually, this is a... just to pause for one moment, I don't know why, but it didn't send you the most up-to-date slides that I have created. So we'll just go with the one that we have then. That's okay.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought, when I'm working on the slides, that because it's PowerPoint, you would have all the updates.
Oh, I think because we sent the file offline and it's not in real time, so it's not updated. Do you think that you can share the screen from your end, and then you can?
And then I would definitely share the screen at this time.
Yeah. I think it's better.
Thanks, parents, for your patience with the technical and so on. So, and also because of the time difference that we have over here. Okay, good. So I have that here, and I'm going to go ahead and jump in to do screen share again. And presenter mode. Okay, I guess the key thing for me is to find out how I can turn on the presenter mode.
Maybe if you click the right arrow, it will move your slides for you.
Okay, so can you see the big, you don't see all of the pieces, right? Okay, perfect. So yeah, so this is the 4 pictures that show me here in New York City since 2018, jumping in to work with the Pride March over here with my API Rainbow parents, Aruna Rao, who is representing South Asian, and Clara Yoon, who's representing the Korean community. And then this year in 2023, I worked with the Queens Community House Generation Q. And the last picture is with my daughter, who's 25, who lives in Canada and came down to visit me a couple of times a year. And I go up there to visit her a couple of times a year. So this is a quick understanding of where I am, who I am, and what I do now. As I had mentioned, that this is my third career. And I'm doing this because I'm recognizing that there are a lot of parents, and congratulations, by the way, if you're sitting here, then you have an interest and a curiosity to learn more about how to bridge communication with your kids. And that's exactly what the essence of this conversation is, how to bridge community, how to step into allyship, and it begins at home, okay? So then the next slides, I'm going to invite Miss Jo to step in and share of herself.
Okay, I'm going to do a bit of introductions of Miss Jo. So Miss Jo is also an educator, and she's an early childhood teacher as well in elementary school and kindergarten. She's currently a member of PFLAG Sài Gòn, Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gay. She has been a speaker and an active parent outreach training coordinator as well, and she's been involved in many events for parents before with PFLAG organizations. And the picture right here, you can see this is a community of parents in PFLAG who come together as a group to support their children in all aspects of life, and that's mean in a societal aspect, in legal aspect, and in policy aspect as well. Okay. Maybe later Miss Châu can give you a bit of introductions in Vietnamese as well before we start the talk show. But now I would like to hand it back to Miss Loan so that she can deliver the presentation to you.
Thank you, Chị Châu. And so I came from Vietnam in 1975. So I speak a little bit of Vietnamese, but a lot of English. And so I had the opportunity to work with PFLAG Saigon and was on my way to PFLAG Saigon doing a supporting work for Parent Ally in 2020 when the pandemic hit. So this is my honor to be able to share this space, co-presenting with Chị Châu Nha. And so here is a screen about the definition of an ally. So it described a person who supports both publicly and privately the LGBTQ community and equality in its many forms. Heterosexual and cisgender people can be allies as well as individuals from within the LGBTQ community. That's a mouthful of words. I wanted to pause for a moment and just break down some keywords. The keyword here is a person who supports someone in the LGBTQ community. Just pause right there. So I am here because I am a parent ally. That means that my kiddo is in the community of LGBTQ, right? So I'm an ally who's a parent, who's an educator. Anyone can be an ally. If you think of social study, if you think of the war between Russia and Ukraine right now, you can think of who's our allies to. So it's a word that is common, but now we're really breaking it down into a marginalized community or community that had been receiving a lot of press lately in the news. So anyone who stands alongside another person who needs support, who needs to be uplifted, who needs money, who needs shelter, who needs a shoulder to cry on, who needs food and water, you are an ally to that person. And you and I have a lot of privilege to be sitting here today from a very high-ranking international school. So we have a lot of privileges to now think about who don't have these privileges. Can we be an ally to them? So an allyship can be taken into any applications of understanding in order for us to teach our children how to be an ally. An ally doesn't have to be LGBTQ community. An ally is someone we walk down the street and recognize that they don't have the same thing as what we have. When you can help your child understand that word allyship, their mind and their heart will be totally open because every single human has a good seed about doing the right thing for each other. And then that's how we grow allyship. And as the child grows older, you will present different opportunity for the child to really think about allyship. So I really wanted to really break that down, right? The majority of people on this planet are either cisgender and or straight heterosexual. And so why society gives this majority group of people a lot of privileges and power? So it is in allyship's name is to recognize this fact and take action. To me, ally is a verb, it's not a noun. It is an action. It's not a necklace to wear and say, I'm done. I have my necklace to say, I have my watch that said, I have the colors of the rainbow. I'm here speaking with you from my heart to your heart. And I really want us to understand that it is an action verb. So moving on then to show you that every single thing in this world is a spectrum. There's not such thing as, I'm an ally, I'm done. I'm an ally because I show up to this conversation. There's only 10 of us or so here. The number is still in the teens. In a school of a lot of students and parents, why aren't there more here? So the fact that you are here makes you the ambassador of this conversation. And to be an ally is to speak up and say, you know what? There's a recording of this workshop that I would love for you to watch with me, and sit down and watch with a group of parents and help them understand and even have dialogue with them so that they can ask questions about the different content in the slide. So in this visual, if you are the first one who are just here to listen, thank you for being here. If you're the one who say, you know what, I'm curious and I want to know more, thank you for being here. All the way to the one who are, making policy changes and inviting us in to this space. Thank you, Evan, and thank you, Hai Lee. And thank you, Chi Châu, for doing the work with PFLAG Saigon, right? Allyship is a continuum, just like life. Sometimes you're busy, you're going back to the listening. Cool. Sometimes you're full, your kids are out of the house, you've got lots of time, you step up to do more. Like holding a workshop, informal, over dinner with friends and talking about what does it mean to be ally. That's all you need to talk about, right? So moving along, here are some really cool books for you and families to really land in learning more about allyship. Not just, little allies, we are allies, a kid's book about allyship, but books about the family, right? All kinds of families are celebrated in this funny, silly, reassuring way. Includes adoptive family. Have we thought about that? Step family, single parent family, 2 moms and 2 dads family. So all sort of family, beginning to understand about families and what makes up a family, and not just the traditional man and woman, father and mother, right? So that alone is opening heart and mind for children to understand more. The next one is Stella Brings the Family. This one is really sweet. It's for pre-K to 2nd level. And Stella's class is having a Mother's Day celebration. But what's a girl with 2 daddies to do? So fortunately, Stella finds a unique solution to her party problem in this sweet story about love, acceptance, and the true meaning of family. So enlarging the understanding of family to be inclusive. The next one is Jacob's School Play, starring he, she, and they. Here we introduce some pronouns. So Sarah Hoffman and Ian Hoffman are the authors, selected for pre-K through 1st grade. So while they're learning their lines and making their costume for the school play, Jacob's class find itself unexpectedly struggling with identity and what it means to be he, she, or they, as it introduces young readers to non-binary people and the pronoun options available to us. This is a great book for parents to read, because oftentimes I go back and read children's books to really get the language so that I can communicate with my students and my kids, right? And Pride is a nonfiction book. Pride is a nonfiction book. It talks about the real story, the real stories of Harvey Milk, who became one of the very first officials in California, in San Francisco area, and the meaning of the rainbow flag. So lots of books that you can really pick up, read through to get an understanding, see if it's developmentally appropriate for your child, and then, weave it into your family's library. So the next 3 books are my favorites. They are often in my backpack. And the first one is The Savvy Ally. It sort of becomes my coffee table book. She's a friend, Jeannie Gainsbourg, and I'm having her in book talk in the month of June here. I have 2 sessions, one at the 20th of June and one on the 26th of June. And I'll be sure to share the link with Evan and with Hai Lee so that they could share with the parent community for you to dial in, join the Zoom line. And the middle one is by Corey Silverberg, another friend, another teacher, educator. And the quote here is very cool. This is a very different kind of children's book. I'm just moving this bigger so I can read it. Yeah. Sex education is about more than science and the so-called facts of life. I believe the most important part of sex education is exploring and sharing our feelings, our values and beliefs, and helping kids connect what they learn to their communities, their histories, families, and cultures. So this is a very, very cool book. In fact, Corey Silver Book has 3 books altogether. I highly recommend parents of international school to take them, to buy them, and to have them, and to read through them first, so that you can really have a broad understanding in order to help students and children understand themselves better. Then the next book is really cool. It's a very small pocket book. It's by Alok, and they wrote about beyond the gender binary. It is chock full of understanding that takes us away from thinking about boys and girls, men and women, and really expansively thinking about humanity. And here's a word about allyship. So all of these 3 books move us into allyship in a way that remove barriers for us to just box ourselves in ways that that's how we were brought up. That's our society. But you know what, parents? Our children have a very expansive mind. If we don't keep up with them and be half a footstep before them, we will lose them. They will go to someone else who become their trusted adults. Don't you want to be the trusted adults in their lives so that they come to you and you keep conversations open and you adopt the curiosity mindset? If they said something to you such as, well, my friend is gay and I'm really curious about what that means. And, you know, you think I can be gay? Instead of saying, what are you talking about? You can say, wow, tell me more. Tell me more about that conversation so that you can educate me and I can be there with you. As parents, we think we know it all, and sometimes we do, just because we have lived more years, right? But humility goes a long way with children. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And did I have the next slide? Did I skip the next slide? Is this it? No, this one. This slide. So this slide is a question, a very basic question of why do we want to step in to be an ally, right, to the community? And I'm going to pause here because I've been speaking a lot, and I'm going to invite you folks to use the chat to type in a word or two about why you want to step in to be an ally. So please use the chat and let's make this interactive. I am a parent just like you, and I start out where you are. And so I really want to invite some communication about allyship. Why be an ally to community that is not yours? It can be anything. We're talking about LGBTQIA, but it could be a community that you don't have any association with. Why be an ally? 1 or 2 words. You can even type in Vietnamese. I can read. And if you feel like speaking and bringing your voice in, thank you. Unmute and just share out. And this is yeah. To share just a little bit of the very heavy lifting that many people have to do, justifying who they are and that they deserve to exist. Yeah, being an ally is to really standing next to someone. All right, if you are shy, I'll move on, okay? We'll come back for other opportunity. So here are different ways to be an ally to an LGBTQ community, LGBTQIA plus community for parents. And I know you've already had the primer, so you know what each of these acronyms stands for. Okay. So if I could really, I'm using 2 screens here to one second. If you can read that more easily for me, I would invite Evan's voice and Hailey's voice to come in and read. For example, on the do side, one of you can read the do side, and the other one can read the don't side.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Do educate yourself on common LGBTQ plus terminology and issues. 2, acknowledge and work on your own implicit biases. Apologize for mistakes.
Right, and let's pause to do do's and don'ts, so you can see, the equality of both sides. So, Hailey, can you help with number 1 on the don't side?
Sure. So don't assume that it's not your job or responsibility. Some of your parents and colleagues will be LGBTQ plus. And number 2 is don't make assumptions about sexual orientation, behavior, or gender identity.
Mm-hmm. And 3 do's.
Number 3, be empathetic and non-judgmental. There's no right or wrong way to transition.
Don't ask about genitals, surgical status, or sex life unless medically indicated for risk assessment or treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Do respect people's privacy.
Don't, number 4, don't discuss someone's sexual business without their permission.
Do challenge anti-LGBTQ plus remarks or jokes. That's a big one.
Number 5, don't ask what is your real name or say you look so real.
6, encourage a welcoming environment.
6, in dog side, do not use these offensive terms to refer to a person's, for example, homosexual lifestyle. That's a difficult word. How do we pronounce that word?
Right. Hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite. He, she, tranny, transvestite. Transvestite, okay. Cross-dresser, and it.
Yeah, these are some very derogatory terms from the past and very American as well, but also currently. So there might be some in your local language that you are aware of too. 7 for do is pronoun usage. Respect other people's pronouns, he, she, they, they. Introduce yourself with pronouns, put your pronouns in your email, and apologize quickly and move on when you make a mistake.
Thank you so much, readers. I have to tell you that this list is excellent. If you have a chance to do a screenshot, parents, please do so because they are applicable in real life. Got a tickling throat. So yeah, moving on because there's quite a few slides I wanted to just, touch base upon. These are excellent resources for you, parents. The first one is from the San Francisco State University. They have 11 posters translated into different Asian languages. And there's one poster about positive behaviors from adults and how that correlates to the child's well-being in terms of mental, social, emotional learning. And of course, they have a posters about negative rejection sign that have direct correlation with depressions and anxieties and suicidal ideation. So this is well documented, well researched. For example, my ex-husband said to my child and to me, this is just a phase our kid is going through. That landed in the rejection poster. Things that we don't think is bad, it truly has a huge negative impact on our children. So think about the impact versus the intentionality. As parents, we always want the best for our kids. We say things to guide them, but we forget how it comes out in their little people mind, cannot think deeply like you do, and it really hurt their hearts. And it goes to their mind, and that's when depression, anxiety, behavior of cutting comes in, substance abuse comes in. It starts in the home. It starts with parents keeping our hearts and mind open for our children to land in that space too. The middle one is National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance. I call it ANCAPIA. They are a great resource. They have multiple languages, Asian languages, in multiple PSA. One of my favorite is Family is Still Family. One side is English, one side is Vietnamese, one side is English, one side is Mandarin, things like that. So I have all of these resources for Evan and for Hai Lee to then communicate back to the parents. And of course, the last one, thank you, PFLAG Saigon, for, being available to support the parents and the work that you all do there. One day I will visit and I will join hand with you. So the next one is, how do we educate our kids to be an ally? Right? So this little cute picture with the word is to acknowledge that, hey, you're asking this question. Thank you for asking mom and dad this question. Tell me more about how you heard that. Be curious and get the whole context. And then you want to move into support by answering the question. If they're asking something like, why is my friend having two moms? You can say, because that's her parents. She has two moms as her parents. Maybe that's enough. Just answer small chunk at a time instead of going into a dissertation about LGBTQ when the kid has no idea what that is yet. So just slow down, support them by where they are at, listening to them by being curious and asking more questions for them to tell more. And learn like being here in this workshop. And then ask questions of other people who have the knowledge and information to share with you. So everything here for the kids, we as parents and adults need to model that for them first. So what if my child asks me, some question? Here I repeat again, respond to questions with a short, clear, and positive answer, and answering the question the child is actually asking without assuming the larger question. So if the child said to you, are LGBTQ families real families? Can you please use the chat to just type in some responses, putting yourself in the kids or even as yourself. Are LGBTQ families real families? What would your answer be to them? Remember, this is a workshop, so we do have to work a little bit to reflect. And if this is one trait of school and parents, when there's not a lot of interaction, this is one way to be aware and to step into the space and say, you know what, I'm here to learn. School's open up this opportunity for me to learn. Let me participate. If you want your children to participate, you too have to model participation so that you can feel comfortable participating. Okay. So for the sake of time, I'm going to jump into what makes a family family. So if I shine this on, I'm going to invite Evan to read this for us, please. Unmute.
Sorry, I was participating as well. Read what's on the screen, right? Are LGBTQ families real families? A kid might ask. And a suggested answer is yes, LGBTQ families are real families. Not all families look the same. Some families have different cultural traditions, religions, and values. Some have one parent instead of two, or grandparents instead of parents, or two moms or two dads. Just because a family might look different from ours, they love each other just as much as we love each other.
Right. So you emphasize on love. You emphasize on difference, and you said different is okay, because now you're modeling to your children that different is okay. It fits that family. And if that's how that family choose to be, then that's okay. Is your friend happy and, coming to school, doing well? That is the most important piece to focus on. I'm going to pause for a moment to do a time check with my organizers. We have more slides, but I'm also aware of opportunity to ask questions. And so let me pause here to ask Evan and Hai Lee on what you would like to do.
We have a parent is typing a questions, I believe. It's Miss Hướng.
Or maybe just, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say maybe we go for 5 more minutes with the slides, and then we can open it up so that we'll try to finish at 8. But if people want to continue and stay, please do. So yeah, your slides are really nice. So let's go maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay. Sure. With the slides, 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, I'm going to skip to some of the slides that are really clear. Is that okay with all of you?
Sure.
I want to skip to this slide. This is a really important slide for parents and adults to really anchor in. The words support and accepting are often confused as one and the same, and they are not. Support is be here, be there, learn as much as you can to support your child going through their growing years so that they receive a solid foundation. Accepting is this part of the body, the heart. It's a lot of inner work. It's a lot of unlearning the things that society had heaped upon us as we grow up, moving through, you know, having a world and making money and having family and so on. So accepting is an individual work. You as parents, you as adults must unpack something here in order to make space and in order to really welcome kids' questions openly. So when a parent like myself receive the news that my kid is in the community, I moved into the support after a lot of turmoil. I moved into the support and my acceptance is like sort of behind here. Kind of still embarrassed to acknowledge that I have a kid in the community because number one, I have no idea how to maneuver myself. It's a new area of life. I don't have the language to speak. I don't have experts to teach me yet. So my acceptance is lagging. My support is, yeah, I'll put my foot out and learn, right? Eventually, the more I learn, the more my acceptance move up. And eventually, they're this way. So the key thing here is I want parents to really understand that when the child comes out to you and say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, don't expect your acceptance and your support to be together. Allow some space in between. Give yourself the grace to learn and make mistake and to cry and to beat the pillow and say, how is this happened to my family? All of that are normal reactions. So very important to know that support and acceptance are two divergent paths. Eventually, they may. To some parents and adults, they never do. My kiddo's father, to this day, could not accept my kid, could not accept our kid for who she is. So there's no relationship between daughter and father. Sad, broken relationship. But couldn't even support, couldn't even say, you know, her name. Still calling her by her dead birth name. So that's a lot of, you know, that's a lot of resistance in the adult world. So those are the real situation that I wanted to highlight for you, right? Supporting and accepting. And then the last one I'm going to show so that we can move in is that how do we want to make a difference? Because allyship begins with each one of us in this moment here now. So to be an ally is to start by teaching ourselves about other identities. I'm gonna move down so I can read it bigger. You will never be able to fully imagine your way into another person's experience. So significant knowledge gaps will always remain. Okay, that is a fact. And don't say, oh, just because I'm never gonna learn, I'm not gonna learn. Learn a little bit, learn as much as you can. But there's always gonna be a gap about lived experience versus somebody learning experience. But you can learn a lot through books, articles, podcasts, and documentaries of conversations with other allies. Showing up here is one of the first steps. So the next slide is to give you the contacts. Again, screenshot if you want to, so that you can keep in touch, you know, with the presenters here. And I'm going to turn it back to the organizers in the last 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Loan, for a very amazing presentations on allyship. So here it is for you to take a look at. May you share the screen again, Miss Loan?
Okay. On which slide, my dear?
On contact us slide.
Ah, so sorry. Trying to go down to a very quickly one. Contact slides. Sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
Some slides we skip, but they are there for, here we go.
Oh, I think you just sent me the pictures in the chat box. Can you share the screen again?
That's what I'm doing.
Maybe you can hit share the screen. Try to hit share the screen again to see what it appears.
Okay. Oh yeah, maybe I did something. Okay, so now I'm back into the full screen, and you want me to share that screen again, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let me go to the contact slide. How's that?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, already saw that. Okay, so there's different resources in Vietnam that you can access to get more informations. First of all is the Rainbow Workshop. So we have a website with all the events listed out on there. We also have Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, where we do a short clip to educate, the general community on gender knowledge, as well as the different short video on how to teach your children to answer a certain question. So I think it's going to be very useful if you can follow us on TikTok and also on Facebook to keep yourself updated with these informations. So for more personal contact, you can definitely email us, or you can even call the hotline, and we are happy to connect you to one of the parents in PFLAG Saigon if you wish to have like a private conversation with them to ask them more questions, to share about your stories, and we assure that we can keep it confidential for you. And one more channel that you can access is our YouTube channel, where we post different video on there on different topic, on parenting skill, on sexual health, on gender study, both in the academic spectrum to the practical side of the skill itself. So you can hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and keep yourself updated with more events from the Rainbow Workshop as well. Another group that you can get in touch to is, of course, PFLAG Saigon. So PFLAG Saigon is a community, a group of parents in Vietnam, where they come together and they support LGBT community here in different provinces and also in Saigon. They have a great connection with LGBT in Đà Lạt, in Vĩnh Long, in Tây Ninh, etc. And they have worked a lot with different parents before, so they are very experienced and they are educated as well. So definitely, if you want to have like a private conversation, you can contact them immediately. And of course, last one, Queen's Community House for Generation Q. This is an organization where Miss Loan is working at. And you can email Ms. Loan directly if you have any questions regarding your children's and any questions related to gender in general. Can you move to the next slide, please, Ms. Loan? Okay. Okay, and last but not least, a happy Pride, everyone. As you may know, this month is our Tết holiday for LGBT community in Vietnam. We call that way because every year we celebrate Pride Month here in Vietnam, and we call it Tết holiday for LGBT community in Vietnam. I actually have a very interesting slide I would like to share. Um, and it may give you a bit of insight about our
sharing, right? I'm going to stop
yeah
sharing. Yeah.
yeah
Thank you.
about a different day in Pride Month that we are going to celebrate. Okay, so in June we have 30 days, right? And each day we are going to celebrate each gender identity or a sexual orientation. So today is June 13, which is Tuesday, and we celebrate trans women, transgender women in general. So we have different activity and event here in Ho Chi Minh City to celebrate transgender women as well. And I think this is a very handy calendar that you can maybe you can screenshot and put it in a convenient place for you to keep track of the day that we celebrate each month. But in summary, we call this month a Tết holiday for LGBT people in Vietnam. Okay. All right. I just want to give you a bit of update of the context of the legal context here in Vietnam at the moment. So a very good news. A few weeks ago, the transgender law draft has been successfully submitted to the parliament. This means that the draft will be reviewed in October 2024. And if you remember from my previous sessions, I told you that the draft has been pending for 8 years already, and this is a really revolutionary move for us here in Vietnam because we finally have the transgender law draft submitted to the parliament, and that means in the next 3 or 4 years the law has a very high chance of getting passed in Vietnam. And that will be a big impact, that we create a big impact here in Vietnam for us, for transgender community, because they can legally change their gender identity. Okay, so this is a very great move. Okay, so I'm showing the slide here, just quickly go through that how law is made in Vietnam. So normally in Vietnam it takes a very long time for a typical law to be passed. First of all, the law must be drafted, right? And second of all, it must be inspected by the committee of the parliament. And then after all these years of pending, it will be double checked by the parliament. And after that, it's going to be revised if necessarily. And after that, finally, we will pass the law. So this entire process takes a lot of time. And different organizations here in Vietnam, including are working very hard to create some influential movement to the government so that this, like for example, the transgender law could be passed. So they have worked a lot with different government entity in order for this to happen here in Vietnam in 2023. Okay. So just a bit of background so that you know about the context here in Vietnam, so that you know that the government is starting to open up with transgender community here in Vietnam, and that is very good news for us. Okay, so that's this for my part. Oops. Okay. And again, one more time, happy Pride 2023. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I also wanted to let Ms. Chow introduce herself. If you want to do it in Tiếng Việt, just briefly, we would love to hear your voice.
Okay, Miss Châu, Miss Châu có thể giới thiệu bản thân bằng tiếng Việt được không?
We have some Vietnamese speakers here, so
Yeah.
even if you don't, it's okay. So
Yeah.
Okay. Tôi cũng là một người mẹ có con trong cộng đồng LGBT. Tôi biết con tôi là gay khi cháu nó học lớp 12. Và thật sự thì các bạn cũng biết là các bạn đồng tính khám phá bản thân mình có cái xu hướng tính dục như thế nào, và khi mà con có những cái rung động đầu đời và biết rằng là mình có những cái tình cảm khác biệt hơn những người khác, thì giai đoạn đó con cũng gặp rất là nhiều khó khăn với thầy cô, với bạn bè trong trường. Thì thật sự khi mà con chưa kịp nói đâu, nhưng mà vì cái sự giao tiếp trong gia đình nó gần gũi, nó thân thuộc á, cho nên tôi phát hiện ra con có những cái khác biệt như thế. Chưa kịp trò chuyện với con, chưa kịp có phản ứng, chưa kịp có thái độ, chưa kịp giận dữ, thì là con đã bị miệt thị, bị kỳ thị. Và thật sự cái bản năng của người mẹ lúc đó thì tôi chỉ biết bảo vệ con thôi, không thể nào rất là giận dữ khi mà nghe được những cái lời nói dành cho con mình nó không được đẹp. Cũng xin bảo là lúc đó tôi vẫn còn là công tác trong ngành giáo dục của Việt Nam. Thì cái môi trường giáo dục tôi cho rằng là nó tác động, nó ảnh hưởng đến đứa trẻ rất là nhiều. Và những cái đứa trẻ ở cái tuổi ở cấp 3 khi mà có những cái rung động đầu đời mà mới biết khám phá được cái tình cảm của mình dành cho ai đó, thì cái giai đoạn đó thật sự là quan trọng. Và cái người cần gần gũi con nhất là thầy cô giáo, là cha mẹ của con. Thì rất may rằng tôi chưa kịp và có những cái phản ứng không hay với con, thì tôi đã bảo vệ được con rồi. Và sau đó là tôi biết, tôi tin rằng con tôi không phải là những cái điều xấu xa mà xã hội, người thân, thầy cô, bạn bè đang gán cho đó. Và tôi đang cố, cái phản ứng lúc đó là tôi phải cố chứng minh cho mọi người thấy rằng là con tôi không xấu xa. Đó là mà cái động lực đầu tiên mà tôi đến với cộng đồng LGBT, tôi tìm hiểu và tìm đến với các cha mẹ khác.
Yeah. Okay, cảm ơn cô Loan rất là nhiều. Again, if you have any personal questions that you would love to get involved with Miss Kim Châu, Miss Kim Châu, you can definitely get in touch with her at the end of the sessions, and we do a breakout room, and feel free to ask her any questions if you like. Okay, thank you cô Châu rất là nhiều.
Yeah, cảm ơn nhiều. So I'll just bring us back together and offer anybody a chance to ask a question. We have many questions prepared to facilitate an almost talk show question and answer. So we can lead with, a couple of those, unless somebody wants to present a question in the chat or verbally, that would be really nice. These questions could range from asking Miss Loan and Miss Chow about their personal experience. It could be about allyship. It could be about Vietnam and laws. Anything that you might want to throw in there right now. I think the coolest part about this talk is that we did it in an hour because it's such a big topic, but more importantly that there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different things to focus on when it comes to allyship, when it comes to experience. As Miss Loan said at the beginning, it is a spectrum. So you could be somebody who's very passionate and proactive about legal issues. You could be that friend or that parent who teaches your child how to stand up for people who are different. You could be the one who has the greatest library at home, and all the kids in the neighborhood know that you have the coolest books that make people and kids feel the best. Find your corner. Maybe it's reading books or doing podcasts. And it is a process, right? Are there any questions? I will ask a question, and we will go from there if you'd like. Let me just make sure I didn't get one. Okay.
I also dropped in the chat a question asking for participants to let me know what motivate them to show up here, and both Tony and V gave me, their input. So I also make a mention, like I had mentioned earlier, that as a facilitator for API parent caregivers and support meeting, I've got lots of parents who visit Vietnam with their family, and because they don't speak the language, they just don't feel, they know Vietnam is queer friendly, but they don't know how to get into the community. So I put my personal email for you to keep in touch with me, so that, I could build community for families who come over to Vietnam, to know that they could reach out and speak with some parents or some friends who could, ease them into understanding and having conversations. Whenever you go to a country and you have somebody who knows, a little bit and be your local guide, it makes a huge difference in how you, see the world and the country. So thank you for that. But yeah, any questions, anything that, we have said in the slides, or any curiosity? I didn't come out to you, but I am a parent of a queer non-binary daughter with transgender experience who came out at 11 years old. Dad said, nope, not on my watch, took her away. And she came back out to me at 18 and a half, and she's now 25. So my journey into this chosen family of mine is not that long, but I'm deep in it. I'm deep in it. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have.
I'll ask one question that we had prepared in advance about how do we teach our children to respond to situations of discrimination against the LGBTQIA plus community? Or how do we teach our children how they might respond if their friend is being bullied? Or how might you respond as a parent if your child comes home and says, some kids were a bit mean to my friend today, and that's where they leave it at? How do we teach our children to be, to respond, I suppose, to respond?
I would say that I would love to hear from Chị Châu, because your story really hit home. You said even before, you could do anything, you start to see discrimination. So how do you deal with that? How did you deal with it? Lúc mà chị thấy con của chị bị kỳ thị thì chị đã làm những cái gì?
Okay, I can do the translations after your response as well.
You're muted.
Cô Châu đang mute cái microphone.
Rất là cảm ơn vì bạn đã quan tâm cái giai đoạn đầu của mình, của mẹ con mình. Thực sự rằng cái giai đoạn đầu nó rất là khó khăn. Các bạn cũng biết rằng là cái xã hội Việt Nam 10 năm trước thì chưa hề có một cái thông tin chính thống gì về cộng đồng LGBT cả. Và khi mà nó không có chính thống, khi mà internet chưa phổ biến, thì những cái tin xấu về LGBT lúc đó nó tràn lan. Báo chí và truyền thông cứ nhắc đến đồng tính là cướp, là hiếp, là giết, là những cái việc rất là kinh khủng và tiêu cực. Cho nên khi đó mà khi phát hiện con mình là một trong cộng đồng LGBT thì mình cảm thấy rất là hoảng sợ. Tại sao có thể là con lại là một trong những cái thành phần mà bị mọi người kỳ thị xa lánh như vậy? Thực sự mình chỉ có một đứa con trai. Nó là tất cả những cái kỳ vọng của gia đình đặt vào đó. Tức là khi đó là con đó là năm lớp 12. Thì các bạn cũng biết rằng năm lớp 12 là năm mà các con tập trung vào thi cử để tốt nghiệp. Thì cô giáo chủ nhiệm có triệu tập một cuộc họp với phụ huynh. Khác với những cái năm trước thì con luôn được mời mẹ ở lại, giáo viên chủ nhiệm mời phụ huynh ở lại để có những cái tuyên dương, những cái lời ngợi khen. Nhưng ngày hôm nay cô nhắn mẹ ở lại nói chuyện riêng, thì cô đề cập đến cái vấn đề mà con đang yêu một bạn cùng giới, và cái điều đó làm gây ảnh hưởng xấu cho bộ mặt của nhà trường. Thực sự cái lời lẽ lúc đó nó rất là sư phạm, nó không có nặng nề. Nhưng sau đó tôi có hỏi rằng lại là con có vi phạm nội quy gì, con đã làm gì mà gây ảnh hưởng đến bộ mặt tốt đẹp của nhà trường. Thì cô lại dùng cái từ mà tôi không thể nào quên, rằng là cô bảo rằng là cháu có những cái hành vi rất là biến thái với bạn trai cùng lớp.
Wow.
Đó là một cái cú sốc, và tôi cho rằng không thể nào tha thứ được với người tuy là đồng nghiệp của mình, là người đang phục vụ trong ngành sư phạm. Tôi có hỏi lại cô rằng là đối với cô như thế nào là biến thái, và hành vi nào mà cô cho nó là biến thái. Thì cô chỉ kể lại cụ thể là cháu nó nắm tay và ôm bạn trai, và hai đứa đó có những cái tình cảm như là tình cảm trai gái, và trước mặt những người khác, và không hề che đậy lại, không hề có một cái ngượng ngùng á. Tôi có hỏi, tôi nói thật sự là may mắn là hôm đó cô cho nói chuyện riêng với tôi, chứ cô không nói chuyện với những phụ huynh khác. Thì tôi đánh giá cao cái hành động đó của cô. Nhưng cái câu chuyện hôm đó thực sự tôi rất là ghi nhớ, và tôi không thể nào tha thứ được. Tôi có hỏi cô rằng là nếu như những cái hành vi đó với một cái bạn gái khác, với những cái bạn khác giới thì như thế nào? Thì cô bảo rằng là dĩ nhiên là nó là bình thường, vì nó thể hiện với một cái bạn nam khác thì tôi cho nó là không bình thường, và nhà trường chúng tôi không thể chấp nhận được. Tôi có hỏi lại cô rằng nếu những cái hành vi đó nó xuất phát từ một cái tình cảm chân thật của lứa tuổi mới lớn, những cái rung động đầu đời của học trò mình, của con cái của mình, thì cô đánh giá nó như thế nào? Thực sự khi đó tôi chưa có kiến thức nhiều về LGBT đâu. Lúc đó chỉ bản năng của người mẹ bảo vệ con thôi, và tôi tin, bởi vì khi mà phát hiện con có tình cảm với một bạn trai khác á, thì tôi có đọc trộm tin nhắn của con, thì tôi biết những cái lời lẽ trên đó là những lời lẽ của hai đứa yêu nhau. Chỉ có cái là mình không chấp nhận được vì nó là dành cho một cái thằng con trai khác không. Và tôi tin rằng chúng nó đang yêu nhau, và chúng nó đang khổ sở vì cái nghiệt duyên này, cái tình cảm mà không thể nào chấp nhận được này. Ngay cả bản thân con nó cũng đang rất là bối rối, rất là không muốn chấp nhận được cái tình cảm của mình. Nhưng thật sự rằng tôi đọc được, và tôi có thể cảm thông được với con rằng là con nó đang yêu, con nó đang có những rung động đầu đời, và tôi ra sức bảo vệ cái tình cảm đó trước cô giáo của con. Tôi chỉ nói với cô rằng là thật sự tôi cảm ơn trời Phật là ngày lúc đó tại sao tôi có thể bình tĩnh, và tôi nói chuyện với cô một cách rất là lịch sự, và mình không có nổi giận được. Tôi chỉ nói với cô rằng là nếu con không vi phạm đạo đức, nếu con không vi phạm nội quy của trường, nếu thành tích học tập của con vẫn ổn định, thì tôi cho rằng nhà trường không thể nào phàn nàn bất cứ điều gì về con tôi cả. Còn chuyện con yêu thương ai, và ngay bây giờ chúng ta chưa làm rõ được vấn đề này. Yêu người đồng giới, yêu người khác giới, và cái chuyện đó nó có gây ảnh hưởng xấu như thế nào, chúng ta chưa làm rõ được việc này, thì chúng ta không nên quy chụp những cái từ ngữ đến cho cái đứa trẻ như thế, rất là tội nghiệp nó. Thì những cái lời lẽ, mặc dù tôi không có nóng giận, tôi không có nổi nóng lên, nhưng những cái lời lẽ chắc nịch của mình có thể làm ảnh hưởng tới, có thể tác động ngay lúc đó tới cô giáo, và họ có một cái gì đó chặn lại, và có một cái suy nghĩ. Thì dĩ nhiên là tôi nghĩ rằng là người làm giáo viên, họ chỉ là một cái phản ứng thiếu suy nghĩ và thiếu kiến thức. Ngay bây giờ thì tôi nghĩ lúc đó là họ thiếu kiến thức về LGBT, cho nên họ có những thái độ như thế. Nhưng ngay lúc đó thì tôi biết rằng là xã hội Việt Nam mà cứ cái gì mà theo khuôn mẫu là đạo đức phải theo khuôn mẫu, những cái gì đi chệch ra là vi phạm đạo đức, vi phạm thuần phong, và những cái đó chúng ta không cân đong đo đếm được. Và họ cứ cho rằng nhà trường là phải khuôn mẫu, nhà trường là phải ở trong một cái khuôn nào đó, không thể nào đi chệch ra được. Và cái vấn đề hai đứa con trai yêu nhau mà không biết che đậy, không có biết ngượng ngùng trước mọi người, cứ công khai trước mọi người như thế là không thể chấp nhận được. Thì dĩ nhiên sau đó tôi với cô giáo có những cái buổi nói chuyện sâu hơn nữa. Tôi không có muốn dừng lại ở một cái buổi nói chuyện ngắn ngủn như đó, bởi vì nó ảnh hưởng tới cái thời điểm thi cuối cấp của con. Rất may là con nó vượt qua được. Nó cảm ơn mẹ rất nhiều vì đã ở bên nó trong cái lúc nó bối rối nhất. Thật sự trước đó là hai mẹ con cũng đã có vấn đề rất lớn đó. Tôi cảm thấy bị sốc khi biết con nó thú nhận rằng nó yêu bạn trai. Thật là rất là sốc.
Okay, I think I can do a bit of translations to summarize the story of Miss Châu. So she has shared that it was a very difficult time for her at the beginning because, as you know, in terms of social contact, Vietnam 10 years ago is very different from now. LGBT image is often associated with very negative, you know, social activities such as like it's even associated with crime like rape or um, you know it's against the morality, against the ethic here in the countries. And in addition to that, we have no information about LGBT. We have no internet access as well. We have so many different prejudices imposed upon LGBT community in Vietnam 10 years ago. So that's why at the beginning, Miss Châu feel very scared because she only have one son, and her family has a lot of expectations on this specific child. Her son is on grade 12 as well, and as you know that in this time they have to do a test to the university, right? So on one occasion, the teacher of her son invite her for a private conversations, and she told Miss Châu that her son is in love with another boy in the class, and she has used a word which is very humiliating, and I can translate it to indecent or pervert behavior. So she's saying that the teacher is saying that her son is having some indecent or pervert behavior to another boy in the class. So she's obviously very shocked about that, and she asked the teachers, what is pervert? What is pervert? What do you mean by pervert? And the teacher responded, well, he heard another boy in the class. And at that time, Miss Châu feel very humiliated by the response of the teachers, and she think that she cannot forgive the teacher until now. So she have a lot of different questions for the teachers, and one of the questions is, what if these kind of emotion, the love that they give each other is sincere? What do you think about that? So that's what Miss Châu asked the teacher on her son class. What if it's sincere? And she's also have take a look through the message that her son and his boyfriend sent each other, and obviously her son is very scared, confused, and frustrated at that time. So as mother instinct, she want to protect her son at all costs. And after that, she has a lot of different conversation with the teachers. So you can see that the society in Vietnam at that time and even until now, there is a rule, right? Okay, ethic must follow a framework, and if it's just go beyond that framework, it's not ethic anymore, and it's even not morality anymore. So that's the society context here in Vietnam. And even though now it's more relaxed already, and we have many positive movement from the government, still in different corner of this country, discrimination is still there. And we still have people getting humiliated, for their gender identity and sexual orientations. Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Joe. It's my first time hearing your story as well, and I feel very touched and inspirational. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Really wonderful to have this conversation together. I also feel very inspired that we have amazing humans who are engaging and educating and supporting and accepting and on that journey. So it's really nice that we can all gather together like this from all different walks of life. And I think one of the greatest lessons is that we must prepare our children for the diversity of the world from a very early age. Diversity in all kinds of situations, because it will change the way that all of us experience the world. We are all more free when the world accepts diversity, when gender norms do not trap anybody, when, ideas of sexuality or race do not trap anybody. It lets everyone be more free. So thank you for being here and believing in the power and beauty of diversity. It's a very hard part of being a human, and it's the most beautiful part of being a human. So I'll invite maybe Miss Loan to say something in the interest of time. I want to, after you speak, maybe let some people go, but we can stay as well. I also don't want to kick you out. So that's my ending personally. And I'll give it over to Miss Loan.
First of all, I just want to say thank you, Chicho, for the values that you're standing on. And I think to answer that question that Evan posed, how do parents respond, right, to kids coming home with comments? Way before that, what are the values that we stand on? If parents are not sure of what it is that guide us and our value system, then we will falter in those kind of conversations. But if you know that honesty for me is about honesty, it's about transparency, it's about kindness, those are the three things that I land on my feet the most. So knowing your values, parents, is to really know how you're going to guide your young people in looking at life. So, the image of a mirror and a window. A mirror is reflection. You look at that mirror, can you go to sleep at nighttime with this face? That's a mirror reflection. The window is to be transparent. What you see of me is what I am. I'm not hiding anything. So those are the images that I really hold near and dear when I work with youth people, young folks. So that's it. I just wanted to end my conversation by saying that. Thank you so much for the invitation and for being here. Thank you, parents, for showing up.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Again, if you have any questions, you can contact the Rainbow Workshop through the hotline, and you can even email me so that I can connect you with the parents of PFLAG Saigon, as well as Miss Loan as well. Thank you.
I'm
All
going
right.
to book.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night here in
Have a
Vietnam
good day,
and
all of you.
morning in New York.
And thank you,
Stay in
everyone.
touch and continue to build.
Thank you,
community.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. All right. Cảm ơn everyone. Take care.
Cảm ơn cô
Thank you
Châu,
very
cảm ơn
much.
cô Loan.
Vietnamese is impressive. I'm sure there's a lot more. I just got the little peek of it. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
Hi, Hung. Did you want to stay us too? We can also stop the recording.